The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack. Sack. Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the web.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. BZ, across the room, how are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm every bit as good as that guy.
Yeah, so
Wait.
Dan Butcher, who is obviously the editor-in-chief of High Plains Pundit, said, hey, is Santa Claus, Curly Howard, and Jimmy Durante going to be all on tonight? And the answer is obviously no.
Well, the Santa Claus part, yes.
Right, but not all three of us. No. Obviously, the empty chair over there. I feel like Clint Eastwood should be standing next to it talking to the empty chair.
Right. Can I tell people what happened, or should we just kind of move on?
Do you really want to out him for this?
It's, well, I sort of did this before.
Okay.
It's a little embarrassing. It took on you. It didn't take on him. Okay, folks, do you remember when I said when Sackhead Sean and Sackheads Clint weren't here that particular day, and filling in for one of them was Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, and it was determined...
Who, by the way, is going to 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right.
Microphone?
Basically, he's going to be the new Ken McClinton. Ken is off doing his own thing.
Yep.
And now with SHR... we have Jersey Joe. He's taking the new spot.
9 p.m. Eastern.
And he's
at
starting.
SHR Media.
That's right. He's doing his 2-hour gig, and now he's a nighttime guy instead of a morning guy. And having talked to Jersey Joe, I can tell you quite unequivocally, he's pretty damn happy about that.
Well, and you know, Joe's always had kind of a nighttime personality, right? And I've always said that about Joe. You know, everything is what it is, and, you know, you try something out, and we needed... Here's what I love about Joe, and I've always said this. When we first started out in all this, we needed somebody in the morning, and we needed somebody to go. And, you know, when I first talked to Joe, and he'd never broadcasted before, and I was really I was excited for him to kind of get into that.
Oh, look, there he is in chat.
Oh,
He's listening.
Yes, he is. Yeah, so, you know, it was always one of those things that, you know, Joe was he was getting in, he was doing some podcasts and stuff like that. And first of all, I love Joe's voice, and I don't know what it is about Joe.
Oh, Joe's got a great voice for radio.
I could sit and talk to him all day. He's just one of the, first of all, he's a great guy, absolutely great guy, retired firefighter medic for many, many years, has an amazing way about him. Funny as all get out.
That's right, and we told cool stories.
Oh, yeah, he's a guy...
I got great stories. He's got great stories.
Yeah, he's a guy, if you want to get some stuff done, he's definitely... or you want to get a good story out, he's definitely a guy to listen to. But, so, when he first started and I was listening to his show during the day, I'm like, man, this is a great nighttime show. It's a great morning show. But most of the people who talk like we do, and Joe does, and isn't... It's just a different approach, right? It's what you do differently. And I said, yeah, he needs to be on at night. And then it never happened. And I don't know why it never happened. It just never happened. And now he's coming to the night, the 2nd of July, the 3rd of July. Oh, God, he's going to yell at me. The 3rd of July.
Monday? Is that a Monday?
It is a Monday, just before the holiday. Okay. And that's what I love about Joe, too, is he's like, yeah, just before the holiday, I could take the night off. I've been with SHR forever. He's got the time in. He could do it.
Oh, sure. He's got more than enough vacation time.
Oh, yeah. He's built it up. He's got the pot built up. But if he wanted to take the night, I'd let him. And, nope. He's going to go right before the holiday.
He's so trusted at SHR, he wouldn't even have to submit an absence request.
No, he would not. I would deny it
That's how much he's valued.
I'd deny it on the face value and make him resubmit it on some sort of paperwork issue.
Well, you take your big red pen to it and then fax it back to it. Oh, my God. Did I just say fax?
Fax. Holy shit, BZ. Oh, man. Can you hear me back all the way in 1988? Maybe I'll turn my microphone up so you can. I don't know if maybe you can not. Oh, man.
Holy moly.
So we're excited about that. Also, Freedom Fest. Freedom Fest is coming
Let's
up.
see. That's
July-
3 weeks away now?
Yeah, July 19th to the 22nd.
Holy moly. That's really getting close.
Hey, if you go to freedomfest.com, if you still haven't gotten your stuff, SHR Media is the code. Sorry, my notes were all jacked up in front of me. In all caps, and you could get $100 off. It is an amazing event. We're really, really excited to be there. Again, it's just amazing. So
Now, that's going to be your third time there? Fourth? Third?
3. I think we're up to 3.
3 times? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're up to the 3rd. And I'll tell you what, the amount of interviews that we do in that week, and you experienced for the first time last year, it's a lot of work for us.
Well, listen, how you figured out where the empty air was in order to insert a live interview, all I thought is that at that time, just as if you're the techno god, in my eyes at least, you were the scheduling god, because I kept trying to figure out how the hell does Sean know what's on and what isn't and how we can get somebody in there. Holy moly.
Well, and so our broadcast partner, obviously, High Plains Pundit, Danny, who helps with the website and helps with us at SHR more than I ever give him
he's
credit for.
kicking butt on shrmedia.com.
But most of the time last year and years prior, what I do is I'll send Danny a text and be like, hey, we get this interview at this time. What do we have going on? And he would send it back. Or I'd figure it out on my own, which was rare.
Well, see, that's you speaking out of school. You shouldn't have said a damn thing, and then I would have continued to have believed that you were, in fact, the scheduling god.
Well, you know, I was able to get some things straightened out, just not a lot. Wow.
I like breathable underwear,
That was a weird-
and breathable underwear are, in fact, perfect. Because
have no
what
idea.
happens to underwear where they can't
Nope.
breathe?
Here's the best part. I don't think anyone heard that but us. It was playing in the background back at us.
Oh.
And that was a weird
Okay,
pop-up. That
then I
never
just
happened.
mentioned
underwear for
breathable
no
underwear for
freaking
no reason whatsoever.
Which is even
The
better.
people are going, what the fuck kind of non sequitur was that coming out of BZ? Well, he must be going the same route as Nancy Pelosi.
So I'm going to be on a breakout panel at Freedom Fest.
Oh, was that confirmed?
Yep, I'm going to be on a gun control breakout panel.
Cool.
I may be playing the part of the liberal. And here's why.
Oh, too bad. Why couldn't we get this guy for that? Because
know.
he's a fucking contrarian.
He loves it.
If there ever was, folks, if you didn't know this, and I'm sure by now you probably do, if there's somebody that's a contrarian just because it's that guy over there, it's Sackheads Clint. He'll take the contrarian position just because it pleases him. It gives him some sort of a thrill. Sackheads, Clint. But you know what? You're here. You're first. To the victor, go the spoils.
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going to have to do. You know, so it's one of those things. It's going to be fun because, like you said, you get to be the a-hole, which anyone who knows me knows I'm pretty good at it. I'm an a-hole. In every possible realm, I'm an asshole. So I get to do that. Obviously, we know the same 10 liberal talking points. So I'm going to be able to work around those and build it up. And I'm going to do some more research and look at their
Now,
ridiculousness.
do you know yet who you're going to be on with?
I do not. It's supposed to be. I know a couple of the names, but I don't know their backgrounds enough.
Okay.
I really was honored that they asked, and I was kind of given the option, and I can still change if I want to, of being pro 2A, which obviously I am, or anti 2A.
But see, you'd have some very good insights into the contrarian view just because of your true view.
Right. And also where I grew up, right? I grew up in a very anti-gun state. I still live in a very anti-gun state. I have very anti-gun relatives. I have friends who are anti-gun. I have the conversation on a regular basis. And my favorite part is 99.9% of the time, it's all based in emotion. So I just get to be an emotional wreck on this whole panel.
Oh, that's going to be delicious. I'd
Oh,
really
yeah.
like to see that. Here's the other thing folks need to know. Number one, I think that's a great thing that they decided that they were going to put you on that panel, and I submit it's particularly important. And if you're considering going to Freedom Fest this year, folks, you really should, because they're really kicking out the jams in terms of it's the 10-year Freedom
yes.
Fest. So
yes.
they're really digging into their stockpiles of cool shite to put everybody there. From from Salem Radio Network, Larry Elder's going to be there.
Yes, he will be.
Who's the...
William Shatner's going to be there.
William Shatner.
Just to see the Shat speak, I'm excited about.
Michael Medved's going to be there from the leftist state of Washington.
Gutfeld.
Greg Gutfeld.
Yep.
John Stossel.
Yep.
Just a ton of people.
So, and that's the major headliners. And we've talked about this before. The coolest part about Freedom Fest, obviously the big names are always fun to go see and talk, right? Steve Forbes will be there, which...
But here's the thing that I found out about Freedom Fest. These dudes and dudettes are all completely approachable.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yes, Steve Forbes did have a bodyguard, but he was still approachable. These guys are just regular folks.
Here's the thing about every bodyguard that we dealt with. They all got it. They all understood.
Yeah.
And we did... everybody, all the bigger names that we were able to interview last year had a bodyguard. Steve Forbes' bodyguard stood off to the side and just laughed at us the entire time.
He was a cool dude.
He was a very good guy. But that also, it doesn't just go for the bigger names that are speaking. It also goes to the people that attend, a lot of the other presenters.
Everybody was friendly.
And of course, the amazing staff at Freedom Fest who welcomes us with open arms every year. And we're just so excited. And I got the promo code wrong. It's SHR100. So that's the promo code. I apologize. SHR100.
Now, instead of Planet Hollywood, it's at the Paris.
Yes, it is.
This
it's at
year.
The Paris.
And I have not been, so I'm not quite sure what kind of a place that is. I did get a room in the Paris so that I don't have to drive 5 miles or something like that. Do France?
You didn't do Paris, France. You actually got a hotel room in Las Vegas.
Right,
Okay.
right. Good point.
Your
Good point.
age, I just
because
have
the
to-
first, yeah, okay. I got it.
I just
Thank
have
you
to verify.
very much. Hey, before I forget, I'd like to say thanks to everybody in chat. We got Big Mouth Patriot. We got
BMP.
Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense. We got Mike. We do, in fact, have HP Pundit, none other than Dan Butcher there.
El Duce.
And we have Kerry Baxter Donovan.
KBD.
And this from HP Pundit. This was great. Welcome to BZ's Wednesday night show and some other guy.
It's the Wednesday night version of the Berserk Bobcat Ballroom. I'm like your producer. Like, that's what I've rolled myself into. I have become the third wheel on this fucking show. I started this goddamn thing. I make it all go boom.
You do. You do indeed.
I'm the third fucking wheel, folks. And even when Big Nose is out, I still get referred to as just your producer.
Kerry says, I think you all are the big names.
Thank you.
How nice.
Thank you, Carrie. It's about time somebody pays attention to us.
That was very
the little
nice of
people,
her.
especially me, the little person. Just the guy pushing the buttons behind the fucking board.
Hey, but riddle me this, though, Batman. Did you guys not at one time actually have a producer?
Sacco.
Wasn't that Sacco?
Sacco was the producer. He made all this shit go. And then he had to show me how to do it, and then everything else I learned.
How wonderful would it really be to have the luxury of having a producer?
You tell me.
Oh,
You tell me, because you
I'm-
have one.
With
right now, you have one. So you tell me how goddamn nice it is. Telling you.
All right, it's nice.
Don't sit across the fucking room and ask me.
It's
You
nice.
tell me. Jesus. You know, enough.
Kerry also says, by the way, you push button real good, Sean.
I do push button, and actually I push button great. Most of the time. Occasionally I leave mics on at breaks, or I forget to bring us back from a break.
Oh, like last night, and that I had no idea until I actually looked at it. Okay, something happened last night to Spreaker. I don't know what it is, but I got the flinging red circle of death on Spreaker a couple of times.
It happens.
Which means somehow the stream got interrupted. And so I looked at Spreaker after the show, and it said 1 of 7. So nobody's going to read all those, or listen to all those cuts. For whatever reason, Spreaker chopped up the show. So I went to YouTube, and I watched all of it until the very end. The last segment, the last half hour, when we go to a break, I like to throw other things up on the screen in YouTube. And I made a little bitty mistake. I forgot to put the camera back on me for the last half hour. So for those of you who were on YouTube last night and were actually watching it,
There's nothing like watching a video and having a still shot.
I apologize for 30 minutes of a still shot.
It must be outstanding.
My apologies. I need a producer.
You do need a producer. And, we'll see what's going to happen. You're probably not going to get one until, I up your fees. So,
Yeah.
let's go.
Well, and my shameless contract. Oh,
Yeah, no.
but luckily, I think I've got another year on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and we have the option to extend through 5 and own your ass. So I'd be
Okay,
nice
there
to
we
me.
go.
It'd be nice to me if you could.
I forgot to tell everybody where Clint was.
Oh, that's right. Please, hold on. Let me pull up his picture of Big Nose.
Okay. Right, there he is.
You know who's missing? His sit-in. You tell the story, and I'm going to put a sit-in on.
Oh, good point. Anyway, folks, if you remember when it was me and Jersey Joe, and Sackheads Sean and Clint were busy, otherwise occupied that day, if you remember, I told you that toe hair was absolutely unruly. And they both decided that they were going to get their toe hair attended to so that they could wear open-toed shoes for the summer. And if they went in together for the grooming on that, then they got a discounted rate. Unfortunately, because of the nature of Sackhead's Clint, his dark hair, you notice that, folks, he has dark hair, and it grows like crazy. He has to shave 2 or 3 times a day. And unfortunately, his toe hair got the best of him. He had to. The only day that he could make an appointment was today. And that's where Sackhead's Clint is.
Well, and that's
right
the
now.
only day that he can get his hooves done appropriately.
Well, that's true.
So, and there's the sit-in. The sit-in's finally back where she's supposed to be. Thank you, Clint.
Hi, Clint.
Hi, Clint.
Good to see you.
Hey, do you remember where the server? Forget it. It's not that important. Hey, speaking of last administrations, the Clintons and major fuck-ups.
Nice segue.
Nice segue.
Well done.
Thank you. I get paid to do that, Let's see. We're going to talk about Miss Loretta Lynch. And, the question is, kind of a big question, I think, too, is, are they actually going to do anything with her? And
the interesting point on all of this is, and I'm just going to give the summary up front, and that's this. The Democrats decided to open the door. When they opened the door, they should not be surprised that people walk through it. When people walk through it, invariably what happens is other shite is discovered. And that's exactly what happened here. When you remember Comey speaking before his last bit of testimony, he revealed something that absolutely no one anticipated. And that's that Loretta Lynch had basically asked him to lie and to cover for Hillary Clinton and call the investigation a matter. And he agreed. Now, later on in the testimony, he said, well, that wasn't very courageous of me. So, really, is that what you pay an FBI director? High 6 figures. You pay them not to be very courageous.
Well, and especially, let's look, I don't care how much you pay him. Let's look at the position that holds, right?
Well,
you're supposed to be the leader of...
You are the head law enforcement agent.
Yes.
Of the head law enforcement agency.
Which I disagree, actually, what
well,
it
that's
is.
Just
but that's what they sell themselves.
Exactly.
Right, and that's okay. But the reality of the situation is, like or dislike the FBI, the person in that position should be a strong persona. And they should be intelligent, and they should follow the law.
And they shouldn't politicize.
Ever.
And that was Comey's downfall. So it transitioned from him to Lynch. Now, there was an interesting cut. And folks that listen to us here and folks that listen to my show know that I very much enjoy Judge Andrew Napolitano. Well, he was speaking to, he's a Fox News legal analyst. Let me introduce that up front. And he was talking this past Monday, and he was saying, literally, that former Attorney General Loretta Lynch could possibly face a lengthy prison term if she's found guilty of misconduct in office for intervening in the FBI criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server. Now stop, but wait, there's more. For those people who know who Jay Sekulow is,
yes.
He's the head attorney for the legal defense team of the ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice. And they do great work. The ACLJ has filed a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, to get the paperwork, the documentation from the meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And so what we now know is that there was, you want to talk about collusion, and you want to talk about that open door, and you want to talk about Loretta Lynch, and you want to talk about Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
I don't want to.
Basically colluding, Lynch and Schultz colluding to do their very level best, and then getting Comey dragged into this to make sure that any investigation like oil just ran off Hillary Clinton's back like oil off a duck. And that was their job. No one wanted to say anything about it. And, of course, Loretta Lynch wanted to take the high road, the snooty nose up in the air kind of thing. And it should be no surprise that when you continue down this false road of a continuing series of false narratives, this crap is going to come back on you.
Well, and here's the thing, and I've said this time and again. These people who are in these positions, who are committing these acts, and this is something that I want the Trump administration to actually do something about, more so than the drain, because of the drain the swamp ideal that he has. You need to start holding these people in power who violate these laws ridiculously in account. You got to hold them accountable for their actions.
Exactly.
You have to.
And
you absolutely have to.
Reality Winner won't do. Because
I love that name.
Because she's a fool. She's a fop. She's a dupe. Right. She's a nothing. She's a zero. What you need to do is light the arse on fire of some actual true bureaucrat,
yes,
or a politician, expose them in an open committee,
yes,
or in court, and then slam their ass into prison.
Well,
make one person, just one, an example, and all the rest of their asses will be coming into line, trust me.
I agree with you. And you know, I've said this. I have said this. I don't care who the administration is, really. And I honestly say that. I know there are people who say, oh, you're only saying this because they were part of the Obama administration, whatever. But the reality of the situation is people in power who misuse their power need to be held accountable more so than anybody else.
Exactly.
Because as we said through the entire ordeal with the Clinton investigation, as we have said with Fast and the Furious, as we said with the Holder conviction,
as Steven Seagal said,
conviction, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Steven Seagal said, no one is above the law.
Right. These are the people who are supposed to be setting the example for the land. Supposed to be setting the example. You're the Attorney General. You better goddamn well make sure that you're following the law at all times. Same goes for Jeff Sessions. If he violates the law, he's got to go. I like Jeff Sessions, but that doesn't mean he's excusable. And the problem is out of the left, emotions have a tendency to rule over law and fact. Well, this could hurt her personally.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Emotions are making
Hey,
law
let's call this
now.
let's not call this an investigation. Let's call this a matter. Wait, are we conducting an investigation on it? Well, yeah. So it's not a fucking matter.
Well, she instructed him. She directed him.
Right.
Essentially, that was an order.
That's collusion.
That was an order from her, his boss, to him, the subordinate,
yes,
to quantify that investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it wasn't an investigation. It was a matter. There's only one reason for that. Damn, what would that be? I just can't think why.
My favorite part is, it's a matter. It's a matter. BZ, it's a matter. To which I'm like, what about that then?
Well, here's a very interesting point that Judge Napolitano makes. He says that terminology, and he's right about this, terminology may be indicative of a mindset on the part of Attorney General Lynch that she was going to do whatever she could to prevent Mrs. Clinton from getting indicted. Mm-hmm. Bingo! Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. He states, again, from the mouth of Captain Obvious. But no one wants to be the person, certainly on the left, to state the obvious.
The absolute obvious. That's the biggest problem. Is it is absolutely and ridiculous obvious, and God, it's just so.
There was another quote of his, and I think this is correct also. There's enough evidence here, just on the basis of the little snippets given to the Senate Intelligence Committee by former FBI Director Jim Comey, that Mrs. Lynch was either conflicted or working at odds with the Justice Department and in behalf of Mrs. Clinton's campaign and the DNC when she told them to use different terminology for the investigation.
That is absolutely astounding. Now,
And further, here's the other beautiful, delicious thing. Comey, Trump, frequently by twittering, and I don't know what you guys think of Trump's twittering.
Not a huge fan.
I'm not a big fan of it also. Some people just absolutely adore the fact that he goes out of his way to send tweets all the time.
okay, so you know what? It's a tale of two cities, if you will. I like the fact that he still wants to reach people directly.
Yes.
And I enjoy the fact that is been following him right along, and he hasn't changed that. So I think that's a good thing. I just
Tone down the hyperbole.
well, and I just don't. Sometimes I just don't agree with what he goes after per se. But that's personal opinion. It has nothing to do
Right.
with how the man acts as a president.
Right. But one tweet, I think, Comey stepped into it. If you remember,
As always.
if you remember the tweet where Trump hinted that there may have been tapes. Well, that's an antiquated word. No one tapes anything anymore. Just like people running surveillance, like he said he was wiretapped. Nobody wiretaps anymore. That just doesn't happen technologically. In any event, he said he was taped. Now, he didn't know, Comey did not know if in fact that was true. He submitted the day before his testimony in writing what his opening comment was going to be, and there were some rather revelatory statements in there. Then he went on further to actually reveal the information where Loretta Lynch said that she directed him to say that. I don't think that would have come out unless Trump had made that tweet. That's one time when the tweet world served Trump.
Well, and it hasn't not served him per se. There's been a couple times he's made a little mistake here and there, whatever, but he's actually still utilized it well. I for what he was trying to do. You know, listen. I really can't sit here and tell you with any sort of honesty that I am a good judge that the guy should stay off social media. It got him elected, and I just, there are certain things that I think he needs to just back it down on with the twittering. But again. I'm not his advisor, and it got him this far.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to sit here, too. I do. I have a pair of bracelets that I'm hoping Loretta Lynch and actually Hillary Clinton will at some point be wearing. And some other people.
That'd be grand.
I think
absolutely grand.
Yeah, I think they're nice. They're their size. Silver looks great on just about everybody.
Certainly, it goes with most. That's a great accessory because it goes with everything.
It really is. And they're adjustable.
Certainly.
Absolutely adjustable.
All sizes, one size fits all.
Yep, absolutely. So I just think that that's something that they should look into. Maybe the next holiday, birthday, whatever. Just a thought.
One final point before the break that I'd like to make.
Yes.
They opened the door. People walked through it. That should not be unexpected, but also this point. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley released a letter last Friday stating that Lynch is now a focus of their investigation over concerns she may have impeded the FBI's Clinton investigation. The Democrats and all the rest of these people in here don't know when to shut the fuck up.
Tell us your honest opinion about it, BZ. Hey, we are up against a break.
We are.
Yes, we are, sir. When we come back, BZ, I, and the sit-in for Sackhead Clint will be discussing Facebook and censorship. Did Facebook touch you in a bad place? We'll talk about all that and more, right?
me and Facebook, right.
All that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. Oh, man. And welcome back to the Sackheads radio show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
We're having the time of our lives in here, and I suspect one of the reasons is because we don't have to share the conversation, and we don't have to worry about a contrarian, someone who would just, throw stuff up on the wall just to see if it would stick. Actually, I have to say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Sackheads Clint, because I know that he's in much pain right now, because to have to go through that kind of a procedure again
Have you ever
twice.
seen Dumb and Dumber?
Twice in the same year. I know he's in a lot of pain, so I
Have you
apologize
ever
to
seen
him.
the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately not.
Oh, there's a scene where they're getting their toenails clipped, and the girl's using like a steady steel grinder. And that's all I picture coming off of Clint's toes. All I picture.
Were there sparks?
Oh yeah, it was great. It's such a classic movie. How have you not seen that, BZ?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff.
Oh, it's so...
I opened up my show last night with Monty Python's The Argument Clinic.
My God.
I love
Classic.
I love
Monty Python.
classic Monty Python.
Monty Python was amazing.
Dry British humor. I'll
Yes.
take it
Bizarre,
all night long. You
dry,
bet.
fun. Oh my God. And Graham Chapman, all those guys were just absolutely brilliant. Brilliant with comedy. Yeah, the politics suck, but they're brilliant with comedy.
They were funny as hell.
Oh, they were absolutely funny as hell. Life of Brian was a great movie. Holy Grail was a
Every
great
damn movie.
Meaning of Life.
Every damn movie they made was just on a shoestring budget.
And they barely made it.
And they pulled it off, and that's what made it even better.
And it's also a show that gets forgot about, and it's all over YouTube. You can get it all over the place. John Cleese did a show called Faulty
Towers
with his wife Connie Booth.
Yep.
One of the most hysterical shows I've ever seen. The episode with the concussion was brilliant. Just so many, and just to have him be this wormy kind of guy, and his wife is just completely overbearing, and just all these different, and to run the hotel, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
I'm the guy that actually used to watch. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Does the name Benny Hill mean anything? I used to love watching Benny Hill and Super Dave.
Yeah. Super Dave's in our chat room every night. Yakety Sax. Benny Hill was absolutely amazing. Here's the funny part about Benny Hill. I know we're going off on a weird rant.
That's okay. That's, by
of the
God,
show.
it's your show.
Oh, it is now? Oh, whatever. The funny part about Benny Hill is, in his shows from the 70s, well, obviously they were British, and a lot of half-naked girls running around that whole thing. And
Oh, yeah.
everybody thought that he was this complete sexist pervert. And if you go back and you read the interviews with the girls that were on his show, how protective he actually was, and gentlemanlike he actually was to them. From what I've read, he had fired stagehands and people and producers and stuff who would say an off comment, like on the spot. He'd fire. There was no place for it. He knew it was just part of his shtick. It was part of his comedy. He treated them like professionals. Obviously, sex sells, and he knew that. He's not stupid. But on top of it, just brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. The songs, oh my! And it's so funny because you go back to that television era. The Dean Martin roasts were just amazing in this country.
Oh, some of the best. Boy, am I really gonna date myself now? Ernie Kovacs,
Yes.
Steve. God dang! Now I can't think of his name. Steve Allen. Your show of shows.
Yes.
I am really dating myself now.
Laugh-In?
The comedy shows. Laugh-In, if you look at Laugh-In these days now, number one, you couldn't get away with a fraction of the stuff that Laugh-In got away with in the 60s, if for no other reason than Dan Rowan and Dick Martin smoked on the show. You could no more do that than The Man in the Moon now. But their comedy and the rapidity of that show and the editing taken in today's context, because a lot of the shows of the 60s don't translate real well. I went back and I saw, I don't remember what cable thing it was, but I watched another episode of Laugh-In, the full hour color show of Laugh-In.
Yes.
It was A, funny as hell, B, fast, well-directed. Damn, it was good.
Yes.
It still holds. It holds well today.
There's a lot of shows like that from way back in the early, the golden age of television, if you will. In my opinion, in a lot of ways. You look at the Carol Burnett show.
Oh, Carol, talk about a comedian.
Yes.
Holy crap.
And her live show, first of all, you had Carol Burnett, who was just a brilliant comedian. She was absolutely just, her timing, her delivery, the writing on that show was amazing. And then you add in Tim Conway.
Oh, God, Tim Conway. Do a lot of Mel Brooks movies?
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Holy crap.
Right, so now you start getting into the golden age of Mel Brooks.
Yes.
And what those shows allowed Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles.
And again, you couldn't do those movies
and it's a
today.
Classic. Blazing Saddles is beyond brilliant. And the funniest part is as much as you could say there were, racial slurs said to that movie, the best part about that movie, and I've had friends who watched that movie and be like, that whole thing's racist. And I said, you missed the whole point of that whole movie.
Yeah. It's
the whole
called
point,
a comedy.
Yeah, well, and the idiots were the white people in that movie. That's the funniest part about it. Gene Wilder, who is absolutely amazing in so much of what he did. Young Frankenstein is one of my favorite Gene Wilder performances of all time. Another amazing movie. Madeline Kahn, who is from Boston.
Was she really? I didn't know that.
And she, first of all, so she was one of those women who, no matter what she was in, she was beautiful. I thought she was absolutely stunning.
Absolutely completely agreed. Absolutely.
History of the World, Blazing Saddles, where she played the German singer.
Yeah.
and of course, Young Frankenstein. And Madeline Kahn was in a bunch of other stuff. But that whole era.
What's your name? Tex, ma'am. Are you in show business, Tex?
Get your goddamn feet off the stage. One of the best subtle lines from Young Frankenstein is when they first get to the castle and Gene Wilder says, "What huge knockers!" And the blonde assistant goes, "Oh, thank you, doctor." Just that little subtle, and of course the great Marty Feldman.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Marty Feldman's classic two words. What hump?
What hump? So. If you have a chance to go back and watch some classic comedy, that's my suggestion. And the other, so I love stand up. I've always loved stand up. I love stand up comedians all the time. Bob Newhart's Something Like This album.
Oh,
from 1964.
Wow.
You want to talk about an amazing, quiet comedian. And just some of the stories that he tells and how he presents his stories, and then some of the stories he kind of makes up. And it's a story that he is making up. He imagines what could happen if. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's so funny when you look at comedy now. And don't get me wrong,
I'm not a prude. I don't mind saying fucking shit all over the place. But these comedians did it without going there.
And that's. And they could write it and do it and act it and then do it live. You look at the Carol Burnett show, right? Rodney Dangerfield, another classic. But you look at the Carol Burnett show. A lot of that stuff was being ad-libbed as they went.
Yep.
And it was amazing. Never one cuss. Again, I am no prude. One of my favorite comedy albums of all time is Eddie Murphy's Hilarious. It just makes me laugh every time I listen to it. It's funny as hell.
If you're going to go that direction, I like listening to Richard Pryor.
The
original
yes.
Richard Pryor, yes. When he was, I hate to use this term, but when he was on fire. Sorry. I didn't want to go there, but I did.
Did you just really do that?
I mean when he was on.
Oh, we're gonna be getting letters.
I mean when he was on fire before he was on fire.
Holy shit, we're gonna be getting letters.
He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But that's an entire different genre of comedy.
Yeah, and listen, there's some great comedians out there now too. It's just a matter of.
One of my favorites these days is Ron White.
Ron White's a riot. You know who I think is absolutely hysterical? I have two guys. One of them's a podcast I listen to all the time. Bill Burr, who's a Bostonian. Bill Burr is friggin' hysterical. And he's a smart guy. I like him because he's not a political guy one way or the other. He's heavily into politics, but he doesn't lean to the left or the right. He just kind of calls it as he sees it, and he usually makes damn good arguments. He trashes the left all the time. He'll trash the right as well. Not as bad as he trashes the left. He calls out the hypocrisy. I would call him more of a libertarian, very libertarian views. But he's also funny as a son of a bitch. I mean, he is absolutely great. So he's one I listen to all the time. And then kind of the exact opposite spectrum of him is Jim Gaffigan.
Yes.
Jim Gaffigan is amazing.
Yes, somehow, it's funny you should mention that, because just a week or
people
two
in
ago,
chat must be so
something like
bored.
that, I was watching HBO, and I'd never heard of this guy. I watched his show. It was great.
Yes.
It was absolutely great. I used to enjoy Paula Poundstone before she went off the deep end.
Yes.
She was a deeply disturbed chick. When I used to go to see her, there was a comedy club here in Sacramento that I used to go to quite frequently.
Yeah, she went way off, too.
And
that was
just watching her live, you could kind of tell when you're watching her, and not on TV, but right in front of her. You could tell even back then in the 90s when I used to go to that comedy club a lot, she was she was very damaged.
There was a lot going on there.
There was a whole
And she
bunch of
was
stuff
funny.
going on.
She just had a lot going on there that just wasn't.
But
just
she was
wasn't good.
odd, but funny.
Yeah.
These days, I don't.
Well, Robin Williams, too.
I went to his concert 3 times.
Brilliant comedian.
Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher was a riot, too. And again, totally bizarre.
Strange.
Gallagher was the original blue-collar comedy. He was the original redneck that was busted out into comedy. There wasn't a lot of big Southern comedians.
Bring your poncho.
Right, destroying watermelons and all this other shit with the sledge-o-matic. Right, totally weird. Totally just a weird comedian and performance, but it worked for him, and he was funny as hell.
Hell yeah.
Robin Williams, though, was another one who, absolutely brilliant, hysterical. Jonathan Winters, if you ever listen to Jonathan Winters talk about Robin Williams, it's amazing.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, Jonathan Winters is a comic god.
I agree.
He really was.
But if you ever hear him discuss Robin Williams...
And he was a tortured soul.
He was. And he tried to take Robin Williams under his wing, and he did in a lot of ways. But if you've ever seen him speak about Robin Williams, he speaks with him with so much love and admiration. And Robin Williams was one of those guys who we all know had his demons. It was drugs and alcohol young. I think even older, it was starting to be drugs and alcohol again, though it may be prescription. But you want to talk about just brilliant. Absolutely freaking brilliant.
Jonathan Winters battled mental disease for quite a number of years. He was, I don't know if he was schizophrenic, bipolar, whatever it is that he was. He had to battle through that every day. And he was, in fact, a tortured soul. And sometimes I think that's what is needed for brilliant, creative people.
Yes.
It's how they channel themselves into an outlet. And Jonathan Winters was funny as
funny as
hell.
a son of a bitch. Funny as a son of a bitch. So that's our comedy recite for the 60s and 70s.
Here's the other thing.
How did we get into
How
that?
the hell did we get here? Number one, I don't know.
Beasley,
And
I
number
don't
two,
know.
I'm really glad that we did go
I
there.
don't give a shit. I'm just glad we talked about it. I always tell everyone, though, for me, one of the best stand-ups of all time was Bob Newhart, that Something Like This album. You have to listen to it. You have to lose any sort of PC values that you have, because it was just that era where you could make fun of women drivers and everyone wasn't like trying to kill you for it. Like all this other stuff. But it was brilliant. It was really funny.
Dave Milner brings up Jack Benny. I'd completely forgotten
The
about
amazing
Jack Benny.
Jack Benny was absolutely brilliant. Him and Uncle Milty, Milton Berle.
Milton Berle?
Was another one.
Oh.
Biggest pervert in Hollywood. Everyone said it for years.
Biggest cock in Hollywood.
Yes, everyone said that for years, too.
Yes, they did, too.
They still talk about it, from what I understand. Let's move on to Facebook.
Okay, let's get back to politics, which is what we were pretty much here for in the first place.
Jeez.
There's 2 articles that I noticed about leftists and about the raving hypocrisy of both of these articles in both of these instances. One involves the head of a social media, and the other one involves the very state in which we sit now, Fornicalia. I know you're shocked. There's an article out of ProPublica which talks about, this is the headline, Facebook's secret censorship rules protect white men from hate speech but not black children. What the hell? A trove of internal documents sheds light on the algorithms that Facebook censors use to differentiate between hate speech and legitimate political expression. So, in the wake of a terrorist attack in London earlier this month, a U.S. congressman wrote a Facebook post in which he called for the slaughter of radicalized Muslims. Hunt them, identify them, and kill them, declared U.S. Representative Clay Higgins, a Louisiana Republican. Kill them all for the sake of all that is good and righteous, kill them all. Higgins' plea for violent revenge went untouched by Facebook workers who scour the social network deleting offensive speech. But a May post on Facebook by Boston poet and Black Lives Matter activist Didi Delgado drew a different response. All white people are racist. Start from this reference point or you already failed, Delgado wrote. The post was removed and a Facebook account was disabled for 7 days, to which I reply, boo-hoo-hoo, fucking get over it, Facebook and the algorithms, because this is the kind of shite that's been going on for a long time in social media. Well, I know for a fact, I'm on Twitter a lot. Listen, folks, I have to tell this. I have to say this. Sean praised me today before the show because I told him that I was going to get on Facebook, and I actually am on Facebook.
It was kind of a big deal.
And somehow he came across me on Facebook, and I got praise from Sean. Huzzah! It was grand. It was great.
Well, hey, you know what? It doesn't happen often either.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I'm on Twitter a lot. I watch people disappear from Twitter every day. And then somehow magically they come back, or Twitter screws with them.
I'll tell you right now, our friend Ken McClinton was victimized by that numerous times.
And I've heard of shadow banning. I'm not exactly sure what shadow banning is, but some people have come to me.
I think it's shadow dancing. I think you're mispronouncing it.
Oh, right. And said,
Andy Gibb.
You know, BZ, I think you've been shadow banned on a couple of occasions because there's been stuff you've sent out and I haven't gotten it, and I only see it when I go back to your timeline.
Well, I'll tell you what,
specifically.
BC, I'll tell you what, and you know this as well as I do, and we've had this conversation before in a different context with Facebook and all these other social media things. When we were talking about whether or not we could sue them a couple months ago, and the honest answer is, legally, they can ban whatever the hell they want.
I don't think you have a leg to stand on.
And we don't have to like it. I understand that. And I don't like it. I think it's a disgusting act. But there's only so many shows out there right now that you can use for that platform, that medium, to be able to reach people. We know that there is absolutely algorithms set up to stifle my opinions, your opinions, because of our background. It's not hard, it's not hard for them to figure that out. I don't like it. It is disgusting. It's horrific, and it destroys. It's the typical leftist, right? We see it in colleges all the time. You're only going to have the conversation we allow you to have, not the one you want to have. There's no contrary point of view being allowed in some of these places. And just like these colleges, public funded, yeah, we can have that conversation or not. You have the choice to go or not to go. Same thing with social media and Facebook. Do they absolutely silence those of us on the right? Yes. Do they do everything they can to try to expose us as being some sort of homophobe, bigot, maggot, blah, blah? Absolutely. Do they protect people on the left all the time for these horrific things that they say?
No doubt.
No doubt. That being said, it's no different than this show. We have the right. Hey, I don't have to let a liberal into the chat room. I don't have to let a liberal call in. I don't have to let a liberal. We will. We've done it in the past, and that's fine. But it's our show. At the end of the day, we can decide this is a private entity. This is private property. I don't care who owns Facebook, shares, values. Mark Zuckerberg's a dickhead. I agree with that. Instagram, same thing. Twitter, the same thing. Snapchat, to a point, the same thing. There's silences being made all over the place for those of us who are conservative. But we choose to go there, and we choose to let them. And by the way, folks, when you're using these social media platforms, you're the product being sold. I had actually a couple years ago, I remember bitching about a change of Facebook, and somebody pointed that out to me. They go, hey, what do you have a right bitching for? First of all, you don't pay for it.
Absolutely true.
You're the product being sold. In other words, they're selling you to advertisers. You're not the one driving their money. They don't give a shit about you per se. It's the advertisers that they care about because that's where the money comes from. That's where the shares come from. And I realize, I'm like, you're right. I am the product. I am the bottle of whiskey on the shelf.
Well,
$79 for this, sir.
And look at Twitter. Twitter encourages you to do that.
Yes.
It says, if you go to its analytics, I forget what page it's on, the home page or whatever the hell, it doesn't really matter. It says, you have made blah, blah, blah number of impressions the past hour. Then it gives you a little stick graph, a bar graph about what you've done. So that is, in a way, encouraging you to get more involved into Twitter itself. And I don't disagree with you at all. They have every right to do that, just as they have every right to suffer the ongoing and coming consequences.
Yep.
Now, we're about 7 minutes from the top of the hour. I bet you that when we come back, we might be talking about CNN. If we do, I would point out to everyone that CNN and Facebook and Twitter, social media, they are just now beginning to suffer the consequences.
It's starting.
I'm not interested in shutting them down, just as I hope that they're not interested in shutting me down. But I'm sorry, they are. It's like my dad said a long time ago, and I'll never forget this. He said, you know, son, when I was flying, one important thing that I remembered is you're not catching flack unless you're over the target.
Yes.
And you can interpret that this way in terms of conservatives. We're not catching crap until we're accurate. And the reason that people want to suppress the folks on the right, conservatives, etc., is because our points are getting through, and they're hurting people, and the truth is getting out, and leftists don't like that.
Oh, no. No. And here's the thing. It's like everything else. People only get defensive when you start poking holes into their lies.
Yes.
And when you back them into the corner and they have nothing less to do, the haymaker's coming. Because you've caught them so much and you've twisted them up in their conversation, you've twisted them up in their lies, you've thrown the truth back at them, you've proved them wrong a million different times. It gets to the point where it gets violent. Guess what, folks? On the street right now, all over America, the left is getting violent. We're seeing Antifa, we're seeing all these other asshole groups causing problems, burning things, attacking the people on the right. All these other things. We've talked about a couple weeks ago that they are the modern day brown shirts, in my humble opinion. But we've backed them into the corner with facts. We've backed them in the corner with truth. They only have emotion. What does emotion lead to when it goes unchecked? Violence. What do we see in these protests now that still go on? It's just not covered by the news. Violence. We push them to the point of violence.
But yes, you just opened another door when you talked about emotions, because now it's translating all across the entire spectrum. Stop. Stand back. Look at what just happened on Monday. SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, came and ruled and said, the 4th, the 9th, guess what? Essentially, your fake law.
Yes.
And your arguments were predicated upon emotions.
And that's the biggest problem with the left.
It doesn't make for good law. And thank God the Supreme Court went 9-0 and said, yep, we're going to take that case, and yep, we're going to vacate the 9th and the 4th. Trump, your travel stay can stay, if you will.
With a few restrictions.
Just one.
Well, it was if you have a tie to specific industry, family, or something else, then you
yes, if you have bona fide, as they quantified it, bona fide relatives and a connection thereof.
Right.
Which was already, since that time, which has already been sort of intermingled into this, that's already occurring.
Did you say Emma tingled?
Emma bingled. I think it was Emma bingled.
No, it was cute.
Yeah, thank you. I like being called cute by you.
I said it was cute.
Okay.
You, my
You didn't
friend,
call me? Okay.
You, my friend, are a gruesome son of a bitch.
Okay, thank you. Now we're talking. Thank you.
That was one of my favorite lines from the Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. You are a gruesome son of a bitch.
Look who's in chat.
Who?
Ambulance Chaser.
ABC?
Yeah,
ABH.
I almost. Wait a minute. The thing just
See, I told you we let liberals in.
screwed me here. Okay, it went down. Now I had to scroll it down. Ambulance Chaser. I almost never get any of BZ's tweets directed my way. Also had my own account locked for conversation with some politicos in Europe and took a while to get it back. Okay, Ambulance Chaser just again made my point about social media.
Now that's not Mamba. That's the ambulance chasing.
That's
hack.
Ambulance Chaser.
Okay.
That's not Mamba.
Well, both lovely guys, and again, it goes back to my point earlier about letting liberals into chat. Right? We will have that conversation. Don't always have to agree.
There is,
but we'll have that conversation, and we're glad he's there.
Yeah. So welcome to chat. That's great to see you.
And if you
just a little bit odd that Clint wasn't here to see you, but it's good. It's always good to have you in chat. So please come back.
Always a bonus. Hey, we're going to be up against a break. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, go to shrmedia.com. Click on today's show, Sackheads Radio, for 6/28/2017. YouTube players down the bottom of the page.
Right.
Also, if you could like our channel and like this episode, I'd greatly appreciate it. And share it.
And now people
share it, bitches. Share it. Wait,
people find out that you do, in fact, have a face made for radio, but mostly you do have a face made for TV. It's a grand face.
It is not.
Oh, it is too.
I appreciate your kindness.
Oh, don't be bashful.
You know
Don't be coy.
Your contract was extended a year. We'll be back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. If you're on YouTube, you won't hear the commercials because we love you. Oh, yeah.
That's just damn good intro music.
I always love that. Yeah. Yeah. I do
Always like that.
I do like that a lot. Hey, Project Veritas. James O'Keefe and the good folks over Project Veritas.
Oh, boy.
So we touched a little bit about it in the last segment, but we're getting into fake news so much now, and we're hearing the term so much now. And we're really, I mean, it's out there. And we all know it's out there, right? For how many years have we accused CNN of stifling news? And again, private entity. And this is what I try to tell people. I always use the example during the market crashes, banks, and all of the bad mortgages that we're giving out. It takes two to tango. Yes, the banks did some shitty things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is, the people
also
signing
takes
should have paid attention.
Stupid people to accept a loan like that.
The same thing goes with CNN, MSNBC sleaze, and all the other ones. Hey, listen, they suck. You know they suck. I know they suck. But you're still fucking watching them. Why? Do what I do. Wait for somebody to repost it on YouTube where they don't get credit for the advertisement, and then watch it. It's within 10 minutes of whatever airs.
Yep.
That's what I've been doing because I don't want to give those a-holes. Or I'll wait for somebody to post a screenshot of an article or something like that so I don't go to these websites and give them. That's what you have to do to put these people out of business. They should be out of business because they're touting themselves as these pious news agencies who've never done anything wrong and they're just here to tell and help the little people. And it's bullshit.
Who are the most base hypocrites?
Yes.
And this is coming to a crescendo. I submit that this is a building tsunami. At this point in the tsunami issue, the comparison that I'm making, at this point in the world of the American media maggots, we're watching the waters flow from the beach into the ocean. That's what's happening at this point right now.
All the boats suddenly were sitting on mud.
That's right. But what I'm saying is, they don't know it. There's more coming, and it's not going to be good for them.
Yeah, it's getting... I'll tell you right now, the water drawer is deep. Really, really deep. And you're starting to see... look at Sarah Palin's suing the Times.
Yes, perfect. The New York Times.
Yeah, you just have to. These people need to be held accountable. The only place that's going to hit them is in the pocketbooks. And how do you know that? A couple years ago, and Dan Butcher actually gave me the great insight on this. A couple years ago, all these big news agencies went to this pay-to-play mentality, right? And you get to see the first 35 words of the article. If you want to read more, you have to subscribe.
Oh, that was another issue in and of itself.
People turn around and went, well, then I don't want to see the fucking... I don't want to see it. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. I'm not subscribing.
Why? Why? Because they were millennials and Gen Xers who have never paid for any content any fucking way.
So what have they done? They've gone back the other way now. Now they've gone back the other way where it's all free and they're advertising heavy. They actually have to make a sale. They have to actually... But to do that, you can't piss off your advertisers. You actually have to have quality content for the most part. And that's eventually going to hit them too because their numbers are going to go down. They're not selling paper newspapers anymore, really. Their numbers are going to drop, and they're going to have to straighten out. That's the good part about the free market, and in some people's opinions, the bad part.
And that's why I quantify this as the tide is moving away from the beach right now because I guarantee you they don't get it.
Right.
I guarantee you they think it's everyone's problem but theirs. I guarantee you now, however, they are fighting for their lives because they are losing three incredibly important things with regard to the American media maggots and politicians all along. They're losing money, control, and power. And when you have an entity or a collection of individuals, the Fifth Estate, so to speak, they're bleeding readers, they're hemorrhaging money, and they're losing control over the news. You, me, anyone listening right now, people listening live in podcast, you can go out with the technology that you have in your cell phone, and you can be every bit the verifiable journalist that any of these other hacks are now, and they know it.
I agree. I agree.
In fact, you're probably more truthful than they are.
And, you know, somebody who's really been promoting that for a long time and working hard at it is Carrie Baxter Donovan. That's like her pet project. She wants to get these citizen journalists out there, these people who they don't really have a horse in the race per se. They're there reporting it. You know, how many times do we see videos from Facebook, YouTube, all the other things of something that's occurring? You see it on the news now, right? Their videographers aren't there in time, or you know, they're what's the word? You know the term I'm looking for. The guys that they pay to go out and just take video.
Well, yeah, stringers.
Stringers, thank you. They're not right on scene all the time. This thing is. The phone is. It's everywhere.
And the technology in this stupid thing right now has the video capability of broadcast quality video of, say, 5 years ago. And that's not bad. The cameras in these stupid things are better than a lot of the cameras that I paid $1,000 for or more now. And then once you've taken that video, taken that snapshot, boom. If you're within a satellite, now you're a journalist.
Yes.
You can post it.
Yes.
That's social media.
Yes.
And you just beat all the other people at the New York Times, at CNN, etc. They are losing power. And you as the individual journalist, pseudo-journalist, whether you want to be it or not, you can be, every bit as verifiable as they are.
And more importantly, most of these videos that you're getting are just that. All they are just videos and honesty. And that's huge. So let's push to Project Veritas, because I talked about it just before, early on, before we went down the...
James O'Keefe is a brilliant guy, a young guy. He is making a name for himself. He has a great program. He's had his knees cut off and some of the people cut off. Well, California. The AG, Kamala Harris, decided that she was going to prosecute the messenger, that is to say, the person that revealed the terrible, heinous things that were going on in Planned Parenthood, because she's a leftist, and Becerra is a leftist. Here in the state of Fornicalia, they decided they were going they were going to shoot the messenger, because they didn't care for the fact that the message was exposed. And you can't have the truth exposed. That's why I admire James O'Keefe.
I agree wholeheartedly. So this is part 2. This is kind of the condensed version. This is from Project Veritas. This is not ours. This is James O'Keefe's. I'm going to play it in its entirety. So you'll hear the Project Veritas video.
Worth it.
But there's some, so it's about 4 minutes, so stick around with us. I'm also going to I'm going to mute our mics and I'm going to play it on the YouTube, so you'll hear that as well. Just stick around for a second.
Presidents tried to say nice things about the Russians and other, warm things in their heart and they love, not in the face of an active attack on the country.
Hey, man.
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
Then why is CNN constantly Russia this, Russia that? Because it's ratings.
I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
Changing it from fake news though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Today we continue with our American Pravda investigations inside America's mainstream media with part 2 on CNN. Fake news. The Russia story. You're about to see one of CNN's most prominent left-leaning political commentators in total agreement with President Trump. We think this might be the first time this has ever happened. Maybe it's because he didn't realize he was going to be on television. And as Chris Cuomo has said, sometimes that's when you're the most honest.
Hey, man. We met in Palm Springs a few years back.
Good to see you, man. You good?
Yeah. How you been? What are you doing?
Good.
What do you think's going to happen this week? I mean, with the whole Russia thing.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that?
There's nothing there you can do. The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that?
There's nothing there you can do.
Yesterday, you met supervising producer John Bonifield.
Then why is CNN constantly Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. But
CNN's response, quote, CNN stands by our medical producer, John Bonifield. Diversity of personal opinion is what makes CNN strong. We welcome it and embrace it, unquote. Good, because Bonifield says he was not alone in his cynicism for the news business, and Van Jones agrees with him that the Russia story is bold.
So I love the news business, but I
find it so
I'm
fascinating.
very cynical about it. At the same time, so are most of my colleagues.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not alone.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really? The organization is reeling. The president is posting headlines about our investigation, and even mainstream media is paying attention. White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders has a recommendation to all.
There's a video circulating now, whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, but I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
So there you have it. Van Jones admits the Russia story is just a nothing burger. Bonifield says it's all about ratings. The White House is telling everyone to go watch the videos. The media for years has gotten away with manufacturing consent. People are fed up with the emptiness and the artifice that pervades our media. Well, I'll tell you something. Change is coming, whether CNN likes it or not.
And of course, that was Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. First and foremost, Van Jones talking about the nothing burger. BZ, I'm going to throw that to you.
Every once in a while, like a stopped clock, Van Jones can be correct. This is the Van Jones stopped clock syndrome.
It's midnight again.
And catching that guy from yesterday's video from Project Veritas was a supervising producer, getting his marching orders from CNN CEO, good old Jeffy. And those marching orders come from the top down.
Yes.
That says all you need to know about CNN. Here's how bad it's gotten. I'm sure of it, that this would have happened. We can all go back 2 weeks ago to the shooting of Steve Scalise.
Yes.
At 7 o'clock in the morning as the Republicans were attempting to practice for a charity baseball game later on. What would have happened, I can tell you and show you, I'll verbalize the CNN headlines that would have been, they would still be on that story today. What if an individual, let's say, had gone to a Democrat baseball game and done the exact same thing, and let's say he was a crazy Trump supporter? What they would have said, instead of what they did say about this guy, was Democrats targeted in a baseball game, that would be called an attempted coup.
Oh, yes.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yes.
Guaranteed. That's what it would have been. Folks, if you didn't see that video, I played it on the show last night, but if you haven't seen it, if you haven't heard it, you need to go to YouTube and just go in there or your favorite search engine and go, I think it's called American Pravda Part 1. And if you don't know what Pravda is, it was the Russian propaganda organ in the Soviet Union during the Cold War. And all you got out of that, it was what a propaganda organ does. It serves the message of the state. I can't think of anything other than that to be labeled
Agreed.
As a lovely appellation to CNN, MSNBC, blah, 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 blah.
So they were, and I said this before.
Not in the face of an active attack on the country.
MSNBC and CNN were always fighting to see who becomes state media when the FCC actually took over the newsrooms, which was for a while a plan that was being put in place by the Obama administration. that the FCC
things
was
that
going to
could
have
be
a
nothing
monitor
but-
in every newsroom in the country, making
more
sure
I see
things
that
that were going out
constantly,
met a certain standard, i.e.
Russia
were
this, Russia
doctored
that.
enough to
This is
be
ratings.
meeting the
I would
liberal
encourage
agenda. Yeah, that's really all that
everybody in
fucking
this room
meant.
and frankly,
Right. So
everybody across
they
the
already,
country
I'd said that
take
for
a look
years.
at it.
All these guys are
Changing
trying to
from
do
fake news,
is become the next state media.
Very fake news.
And now
They're it.
Now that their state is gone, they're like a man without a country, right? They're running in circles.
Today we
You're starting to
continue
see
with
them
our
getting
American
so
Pravda
frustrated that
investigations
truth's starting to come
inside
out.
America's mainstream
Whether they
media
want
with
it to or
part
not,
2 on
look at Van
CNN.
Jones. This is a nothing burger.
Fake
Bonnefeld.
news.
Of course, there's nothing with the
The
Russians.
Russia
We just,
story.
it's media.
You're about to
It's-
see
it
one of
sells,
CNN's
baby.
most
That's all
prominent
it is.
left-leaning
You
political
are the product,
commentators
people,
in
and you
total
keep going there and being
with President
sold.
Trump.
Yes, the thing that I find so absolutely luscious, salivating about this, is that these fucktards are being hoisted on the petards of their own creation. That is to say, they're getting Mike Wallaced, they're getting 60 Minutes themselves. They're being caught, just as 60 Minutes used to do to all sorts of people. Now it's happening to them. They don't like it. It's bad, it's evil, to the point where we have leftist attorney generals attempting to criminally arrest and prosecute people for revealing the truth. But there's more truth coming. The tides are moving out. All the dead fish and the dead crabs are being revealed as the waters get sucked back out to the ocean. Because trust me, it's coming back.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be coming back.
It most certainly is. And you know, so when we're talking about the Facebook,
the first time this has ever
when we're
happened.
talking about CNN,
Maybe it's because he didn't
MSNBC,
realize
some
he
of
was
these
going to be on television.
Salon and all these
And
other
as Chris Cuomo has said,
newspapers
sometimes
that are just
that's
these
when you're the most
leftist
honest.
wings, Mother Jones and blood. And,
Hey,
and
man.
don't get me wrong, there are those on the right. I'm not
We
saying
met
there's
in
not.
Palm Springs
right? We
a few years
absolutely know
back.
who they are. on the
You
right.
good? Yeah.
And that's
How you been?
the
What do you
balance, if you will.
What do you think's going to happen this week? I mean, with the
that's
whole Russia thing.
what got created when you started having these newsrooms
Really?
being taken over and not
You don't think
news.
that,
They started changing and adjusting the news to meet an agenda. I always bring it back to Walter Cronkite.
Really?
That's really when
You don't think that,
the sensationalized news really started.
But wait, wasn't he
Yesterday,
the
we met
most
Supervisor
trusted
Producer
man
John Bonifield.
And it's come
in
out
all of the
and
news?
it's come out years later that he
No,
had
that can't
he and the
be
higher ups had an
right.
issue with the Vietnam War, so they started showing explicitly certain sets of films and videos in an effort to sway American opinion about the war. Doesn't matter how you feel about war as an individual or how you're not.
It's the method. It's the
just
point.
like how you feel about gun control, abortion, whatever. I can have that discussion with you when it's your idea freely. But when it's thrown down your throat and you willingly gobble it down, I mean, I could
Well-
make so many dirty references, but
Especially back then, what did you have?
Nothing.
3. You had 3 outlets, 3 channels.
that started at 6 a.m.
And that was your
ended at
choice.
midnight. Yeah. And that was it. And even now, though, right, you really only have 5 news channels for the most part. You have the 4 dedicated ones. I don't count headline. I don't count C-SPAN because that's just the government station.
Yeah.
And then you have the nightly news stuff. I don't even count that anymore because their counterparts, for the most part, are the full-time stations. And a couple newspapers. And that's it. Or news articles, online, websites, whatever you want to call them.
Well, and how many big media conglomerates are there now? 3 or 4?
But why do you think when we were talking about citizen journalists, when we were talking about bloggers a few years ago, and how the Obama administration was trying to find a way to silence bloggers like you and
To
I,
license them, yes.
Yes.
Through the FCC.
Through the FCC. And then all of a sudden, amazingly, when we got into the whole internet choking a couple years ago that we voluntarily joined, well, that's neither here nor there. They've always tried to silence the opposing view. There's always been this onset for the last 10 years of like, hey, this is our business, and you don't know our business. I'll tell you first, couple times we applied when we were first starting out, when we applied for press credentials at different events. How many times we were turned down because we weren't a legitimate news organization?
Oh, that opens another door. Oh, my.
And I said, and the argument that got us there is I said, well, you're just moving the flagpoles on us, or the touchdown line, the goalpost. All you have to do is adjust what you think is news, and we're not in it. the simple fact of it is, we have regular shows, we have websites, we have a corporate entity, we have news, we have opinions, we have articles that are written on our webpage. Why are we not legitimate? Because I don't have something on cable? Who says that cable is legitimate news? It's just paid programming 24/7. And the one time I was fighting with it, we got accepted because they had nothing to say. I said, you're stifling the First Amendment right. Just because I didn't go to school for journalism doesn't mean that I'm not a journalist on some levels.
Some of us did go to school for journalism.
Right.
Some of us did work for radio stations.
Right.
Some of us were stringers. Some of us did work for KFBK
Yes.
and go out and collect news and had a press credential.
Yes.
But you opened a funny door. You opened a very interesting door. Sean Spicer and Sarah Huckabee, shoot, I can't think of her
I can't think of her very last name either.
Sanders?
Yes.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Now the journalists are up in arms because they're giving press briefings, but they're saying, no video.
Yes.
Oh, gee, do you think that might be because it's just like attorneys in a courtroom. Reporters are now, they don't give a shit about recording. What they want is theater in the press room.
Right.
They want to get up and make a political statement and see if they can do gotcha on Sean Spicer or Sarah or whoever happens to be up there. The other thing that people were saying is, hey, why don't we move the press room over across the street into the old executive office building in a big thing, and let's invite people in. Let's invite citizens in to ask questions, because why should the press be the only people sufficiently valid to pose questions to power? Why should that be? The paradigm is being broken. And the media, what I call the American media maggots, they are in pants-shitting hysteria right now over it, because the entire paradigm is changing on them.
Yes.
And in talk about people that say they embrace change, they don't want it.
Well, and I think Clint told the story about Jeff Sessions when we had that interview with him a couple years ago, and it was he and I. And, we'd seen, it's so funny, when you run into these larger media entities and they find out that you're a smaller media entity, at the time they considered us just a podcast or whatever, how shitty they would treat us as individuals. Like literally looking down their nose at you.
Oh, yeah, you're not worthy. You're not worthy.
And then when you start meeting other citizen journalists or other people that have started their own network because they got sick of the other ones, that's how we formed with Ken. That's how we formed with Dan. That's how we formed with a lot of other friends that we've worked with over the years. You realize the strength in numbers, and you realize the ideas that these people have that can be very, very positive. But more importantly, they want to get the truth out there about things. Now, for us, it may be the conservative truth, right? We may be seeking what we deem to be true as from a conservative point of view or constitutionally, right? That's usually our standpoint. With them, it's it's the antithesis of what we do. Here's the thing, when it comes, so our conservative opinion is just that, and we talk about that on the show a lot. When it comes down to fact, law, and constitution, that's the law of the land. That's what we follow. When you go to the left, it's all emotion, baby. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Emotion this, emotion that, emotion, but it doesn't feel good, and I want it to feel good. And what if go rub yourself up against a vibrating washing machine if you want to feel good. Other than that, have the real conversation with me. And there are some on the left that will sit down and actually have a but they're very few and far between.
Exactly.
And I'm speaking
You're not
specifically
finding
to
them.
the ambulance-chasing hack as one of those people. I don't agree with his opinions. And I have other people in my life who are on the left that I don't agree with their opinions, but at least they'll have a conversation and they'll cite things and they'll cite history or maybe a court decision or something to that effect. It's not just the emotion. It's not just this makes me feel good. I can have those conversations. Those are the Democrats that I wish would come out of the woodwork more and set an example. The more blue dog Democrats, the more traditional style Democrats, not these progressives who it's their whole job to be angry, throw shit, and then call you every name in the world because they're emotional, especially when they lose. i.e. Antifa riots and everything else that's going on. This is the reality of where we're at right now.
Yeah, they're the monkey behind the bars shitting into their hands to throw it at you because they don't have anything else. They don't have facts. They don't have statistics. They don't have a cogent argument. So when you lack those things as an attorney in an open court, you play and you make it identity politics, and you attack the victim.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That's what you do.
Yes.
When you lack a cogent argument.
So one of the statements I've always hated my whole life is when something happens to an individual and they say, well, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, they weren't. Where do you go when you need gas? At the gas station. The guy with the Uzi that came up and shot him for his leather jacket, he was the asshole in this. Let's not lose perspective. And that's what you get all the time. They blame the victims in all of this instead of the people that... And you look at how we treat crime today in this country. Same thing, right? How many times do we hear excuses from the left about why that person committed the crime? Guess what? I don't give a shit why they did it. What I give a shit about is the victim whose now life is entirely changed because of an asshole. I don't care about his upbringing. I don't care if he's on drugs. I don't care about any of that shit. Bingo. We have laws, and once you start addressing, changing, and perverting those laws on a sliding chain, on a sliding rule, you have literally fucked it all up. Completely.
You mentioned Mother Jones, and I know we're going to have to go to a break, but I want to tell you this headline from Slate. This is news. This is what passes for news. Slate. Women won't be equal until they murder and rape more people. LGBT conservatives are villains. That's news.
Oh, man, is that annoying. Is that ever just disgusting? I mean, it's horrific.
Conservative media horrific. Done right.
Hey. All right, we're up against the break.
The SHR Media Network.
3/4 of the show gone. What the hell?
What the hell? And we're going to start the fourth quarter of it right here after these on Sackheads Radio Show. Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Oh, yeah. Grooving to the end. Grooving to the end. Hey, we haven't heard all night from Clint's fill-in for the evening, so I just want to say hello to Clint's fill-in.
Oh, let's see if they're still there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nope.
Okay.
Just as...
How about the nose? Nose over
Oh,
here?
nose is right there. You can see it. Boop, right
Ooh,
there.
hair is combed. Hair is combed.
Very nicely. Very handsome, as a matter of fact. Very.
Does that say my name is Clint?
Yes, it does.
Are you sure that's what it says?
So, somebody else brought that up, too, and I said, what else would it say?
Well, Clint,
if
obviously.
you see something else, there's something wrong with you. If you
all
see something else right there in the middle, there's something severely wrong with you. And actually, I take exception to this. I'm insulted by it. Oh,
well, obviously, no, you're right. It says, my name is Clint.
Hey,
there's no other interpretation.
So here's how I look at this. You have far less time on this earth left than I do. You get to pick the next segment.
Oh!
Hey, how's everyone in chat? We haven't talked about chat.
Oh, you know what? Just take that shaft, that big spear that you just put right through my heart, and it's coming out through my ribs in the back. Go ahead and just pull it all the way through. Would you? Okay.
Come on, old timer.
All right.
How is chat going right now?
Just bleeding. Well, we have Mike in chat. We still have Jersey Joe in chat.
Oh, Jersey Joe. Of
Big
course.
Mouth Patriot. We still got Dan there. We got Dave. We have me. Hello, waving to me, and ambulance
chasing hacked. I got to throw out a shout to BMP, who's a dear old friend of mine, who I love him to death, and he's just one of those people who I'll always hold dearly in my life.
Let me ask you a question: Is Big Mouth Patriot on Twitter?
Yes, he is.
You know what the handle is offhand?
I think it's at Big Mouth Patriot.
Okay, because if so, I'll start sending some stuff.
I won't say when, where, and how
on Twitter.
I won't say when, where, and how. But I can tell you that he and his beautiful wife just bought a gorgeous set of property, and I'm really happy for them. It's kind of like the dream house, and it's pretty damn good dream. So,
boy, do I have a story.
Man, it's pretty impressive.
One of the dudes that I supervised, he retired before I did, about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back as what we call a retired annuitant. So he's working at the branch.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me up day before yesterday and says, BZ, I've had it. I've had it with this damn state, and I always take my vacations over in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, that kind of place. He's leaving California. He bought a house just outside Kalispell, Montana. Ooh. I looked at it in Zillow. Ooh. It's on the side of a hill, 3,400 square feet, vaulted ceilings, rock fireplace, beautiful. It's like a mansion on a hill. $380,000, and he's giving the flying fickle finger of fate to California in 1 week.
We need that. Everybody needs to send that flying fickle finger of fate right to the state of Fornicalia.
Boy,
is it ever bad. Hey, you know what? Let's give it right now anyhow, just for fun.
I hate this guy.
I know we're not leaving, but let's give it to California anyhow.
I know.
All right.
Blow me, California. Hey, speaking of which, here's an interesting article. California Democrats violate their own travel ban for what they call important causes. Now, I talked about California hypocrites. This, it says the ink is barely dry on California's new expanded ban on state-funded travel to Texas and other states that it claims discriminate against LGBTQRXTWVs, blah, blah, blah. And this week, 2 openly gay Democrat politicians are traveling to Texas, violating the ban that they claim to support. The Los Angeles Times says California Attorney General Xavier Becerra on Thursday announced he was prohibiting state employees from traveling at state expense to Texas and 3 other states that he determined have approved laws that discriminate against gay and transgender people. So, what do we got? Gay people going to Texas. Isn't that wonderful? Senator Ricardo Lara, Democrat who is openly gay, is among those attending the annual gathering of the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, NALEO. A spokesman said he is using his own money, not taxpayer funds. Lara voted for the bill that enacted the travel ban, so it's do as I say, not as I do. Perfect. That summarizes, that's all you need to fucking know about Fornicalia. Right there. They hate travel bans, except when they don't hate travel bans. You can't go to Texas, except when they want to go to Texas.
Yes.
It just doesn't get any more ridiculous and juicier than that.
Well, it is California summed up.
Well, he says he's using his public funds. Really? So as he's transporting himself to Texas, that means he's not getting paid, right? Oh, no. No, he'll be getting paid. So, yes, he is using your taxpayer money to go to Texas in direct contravention of what he voted for. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh.
It's enough to make your head explode. Oh!
Wait, do you have another head exploder?
Listen. The things that occurred this past week, I said last year and in January, I said, I had information indicating that there's going to be another SCOTUS opening sometime this year. Then the rumors started flying that Anthony Kennedy may retire. Some people were anticipating that this past Monday he was going to make that announcement. He made a little meeting with a bunch of people, and for whatever reason he decided that he wasn't going to make that particular announcement at the time. But I'm still saying that there's going to be another SCOTUS appointment. Heads exploded all across the fruited plain on the left when they discovered there probably will be a second opening in SCOTUS, I'd wager sometime this year, before the end of the year. I also wager that there's going to be a third opening. Now, if they had to fight so hard for Gorsuch, can you imagine the fight that's going to occur with a second individual, a second opening? And to the Republicans, from which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Folks, you better not lose the Senate.
At all.
Because if you lose the Senate, then you're not going to have those confirmation. And the Democrats decided to pull the nuclear handle. And they were shocked, gobsmacked, I tell you, when Mitch McConnell said, 51 shall rule.
Weird, right?
Absolutely unexpected. Well, unexpected that the Democrats would actually stand up for themselves. So that's Gorsuch. That's a SCOTUS opening. Then their heads exploded again on Monday when SCOTUS shot down the 4th and the 9th and said essentially, you know what, Trump's travel stay, we're going to leave it in place. And we're going to reverse your reversal 4th and 9th. And also, we're going to hear the case in October. And already the SCOTUS members they're foreshadowing what I think is going to happen, because in their opinion, not once did they fall back on emotions and say, oh, it's a Muslim ban. We must let these poor Muslims into our nation. These poor, poor Muslims. Nor did they ever make any mention whatsoever of any Trump rhetoric during his campaign. They went from the facts of the case before them, and they didn't craft fake law. That tells me volumes about what's going to happen. So leftist and Democrats' heads exploded all across the country, and it was glorious.
It was truly a glorious moment to be had by all. Truly glorious. Oh, man. You know, I'm just looking down the list of all the things that we could have talked about tonight.
There's so much stuff.
And we did a pretty good job, I think, of getting through most of it.
There's the dude who decided that after they just put up a new monument about the Ten Commandments,
God.
This guy decided that it would be in his best interest to take his automobile and drive it over that particular monument at the Arkansas State Capitol. It was a 6-foot-tall stone Ten Commandments monument that they installed on Tuesday, yesterday. Today is Wednesday. It lasted one day before this 32-year-old fucktard who doesn't deserve his name being mentioned, deciding that he's going to run it down. And guess what? He's done it before. can't have monuments.
Right.
Can't have free speech. Can't have people speak at universities. And the Democrats are the party of no.
Yes.
And by the way, there's no real news coming out of the American media maggots. All of this is coming. It's heading for a big, big crash.
Huge crash.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, but wait.
Isn't there more? Yes, there is.
How can there not be more? It's the Democrats.
Democrats. Russia. You know, the Democrats don't have anything to do with Russia, do they? No. Just ask them. Let's see. WashingtonFreeBeacon.com. Claire McCaskill used undisclosed foundation to pay for dinner at Russian ambassador's house. But no, the Democrats, they wouldn't have anything to do with Russia, would they? Missouri Democrat didn't disclose Roland Foundation to Senate.
Why would they?
Until June
How could they?
of this year. Democrat Senator Claire McCaskill used a personal foundation
Claire, no.
to pay for a dinner she attended at Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. This is the same
Irish guy.
This is the same guy
He's the
that all the
spy master.
Democrats are saying that, yes, Sean, he's the spy master, and he's just like the best spy master among the... He's holding and pulling the strings of every Republican in D.C. all around the Beltway. He's the Russian spy master. Oh, wait, did the Democrats just step into his evil web? Apparently so. The senator failed to disclose her role in the foundation until earlier this month. McCaskill came under fire this March after she told the Washington Post she never had a call or a meeting with Kislyak, even though she had publicly announced both a call and a meeting with him. This week, CNN reported that McCaskill also attended a black tie reception at Kislyak's D.C. residence in November 2015. Did she disclose any of that?
No. Wait. Did she? Hold on, wait. No, she absolutely fucking did not.
No. So again, the rampant hypocrisy.
Do as I say, not as I do.
The hits just keep on coming.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Well, but this, again, sums up the fight that we're going to have for the left, with the left for years until they absolutely implode, right? It's this whole ideal of, we're going to tell you what you can't do and why it's horrible that you do it, and we're going to try to find everything we can to prove that you do it, also so you don't look at us while we do it. And we've seen this time and again with the leftists, right? I go back to Lois Lerner. I go back to the taxation stuff with the IRS, who they're specifically targeting. And just before that, there was this inkling that maybe the IRS was going after the left. Sorry, the conservatives were going after the left and exposing some of the tax things, especially when it came to green energy and stuff like that. Oh, the outrage. The outrage that people were exposing how much money was being lost to these bullshit green energy companies. How dare they discuss it?
You know, a few $100 million here, a few $100 million there, a few Solyndra there, a few bankruptcies here.
And then we find out...
Don't just
Then we find out that the IRS, whose head of the IRS is meeting with the White House on a regular basis, and Lois Lerner is sending off emails directing people to target specific conservative groups for their 504C, I think it was, tax code.
Yeah, Sean.
Right? But you can't do that.
You can't.
That's political. No, you can't do that for politics. It's bullshit.
Why are you even mentioning that? That's so bad on you.
I don't know why I would. I don't know why. It's so horrible of me to do so.
Dave Miller in chat says the obvious. Everybody's been trying to influence everybody since there's been countries. It's even in the Bible if you recognize it. Duh.
I love when the only answer sometimes can be... So T-Bone, a good friend of ours and a friend of the show and personal friends, has been using this term for years, doy. Right?
Doy?
Which, when I was younger... 7, 8, 9. Doy was like the duh of these days, right? Or the what? Or you know what I mean? And he's been bringing it back. That's been his goal. Like, he just says "doy"
Doy.
for things all the time because it's so goofy.
Well, that's a new one on me. I hadn't heard that one before. Doy.
So that's what we're going to start. I try to use "doy" as much as I can just to help bring that back a little bit because I think it needs to. When it comes to the Democrats, "doy." Hey, listen, July 3rd. All of the changes to SHR Media will be finalized.
Boy, yes, we need to talk about that because we got 10 minutes left. There's just one more article that I care to go into before we go. But yes.
Go ahead, sir.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about that because things are coming to the SHR Media Network that we need to talk about. Now, one of them is Dan Butcher, the High Plains pundit, is going to be on The Saloon tomorrow night. He's going to lead off the show. So, folks, if you like Dan, and who doesn't, and what is it, Sean, that you call Dan?
Second best newsman in the business.
Okay, who's the first?
I can't even discuss it.
Okay.
It's like he who shall not be named, and you take the power away from that person when you do that. So,
right. Good point. Anyway, Dan Butcher's going to be on, and if I talk sweetly into his ear and perhaps trim his ear hair for him, he said he'll consider being on every Thursday to lead off the show for about 15 minutes or a half hour every Thursday. So that's another bare bones attraction. Folks, come and listen to Dan Butcher because
you two together, that's like 200 years of life experience on one show in 15 minutes every week.
Ooh, Dan, did you hear that? he put you in my category. Ooh, ow, zing, zang, zoom. And then because I want to cross-promote as many people as possible on SHR, I'm going to have Melanie Colette on tomorrow night as well.
The business diva.
She's going to be on because I want people to get to know her too, and I want people to go to her show. And I'm going to talk to her about her background, where she came from, how she came to be a conservative, how she became interested in finance and money and whatnot. So if you want to know about Melanie, and it's a perfect time to promote her show as well, come one, come all to the Berserk Bobcat Saloon tomorrow, Thursday night. I quantify it as the aftermath. All of the shite that I couldn't fit into the Tuesday show, or for whatever reason, zipped my mouth closed on tonight's show and didn't go into. Two wonderful people to listen to tomorrow night. And then what's happening? What's also happening? You mentioned it already. We've got Jersey Joe, who's going to be opening for us. For the Sackheads on Wednesday, for me on Tuesday, for me on Thursday, and then he's also opening in the same time slot, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days a week of Jersey Joe for 2 hours starting at 6 o'clock Eastern. And 9
Eastern. 6
that's right.
West Coast.
9 Eastern, 6 o'clock on the left coast.
Leave him alone, folks. He's old.
I know, that's true, very true. So Jersey Joe, that's another good thing that's coming. Then I've got Jeff Dunitz. I want to make sure that people listen to Jeff Dunitz.
If you haven't, go to SHR Media right now. You can click on Jeff's show from today. His interview is amazing. Check it out. He had such a great show. And also, of course, we have Pastor Mike and Shannon in the mornings. Ralph Chittum's, who is just awesome.
The Kraken.
He will be on just before Joe, Monday through Friday, I believe, and just does an amazing job. So all these changes that are coming this week, starting on July 3rd here, we're breaking out.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. We're having a lot of fun with it. BZ, sir, I have a couple really important questions to ask you.
Okay. How old am I really?
No, only because I don't want to pay for the carbon dating.
Okay, thank you.
Now
I'm like a bad redwood. You'd have to slice me in half and count my rings if you really want to find out how old I am. Problem with that is it would damage me in the process.
Yeah, I know, right? We would absolutely have to. There's got to be some way we could put you back together afterwards, right? I mean,
I would hope so. Like maybe a lizard, I could grow my limbs back or somehow meld my torso. Because that's where you're going to find the accurate age. I mean, you could cut off my arm, but you wouldn't find the proper number of rings. You'd have to slice me in two right in the torso. Healing from that might be kind of questionable.
You know what? It's a chance I'm willing to take.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good to know. Good to know. So there's a ton of cool stuff coming to the SHR Media Network.
And then, of course, Freedom Fest. The Freedom Fest broadcasting. Dan Butcher.
That's going to be wonderful.
Is helping us out on the website, as I've said before. He's going to make a Freedom Fest page for that entire week, where all of our content will be available, the videos, etc. Anything that we do from there will be available at Freedom Fest. So we're excited about that. That'll be up and running.
And, of course, I will have a blog, just like I did last year, a blog post in summary of all the cool insider stuff that you otherwise may not see or hear at the end. So that's also all sorts of good insider information. But even more now, these days, if you want to find out exactly what's happening at Freedom Fest, you got to listen to the SHR Media Network.
We always have such a great time, and it's a great event, and just great people, and we're really just, oh, God, are we so excited. Yeah, really, just a great time. And, of course, Clint will be back next week. Let's say hi to the Clints filling. Still doing all right over there?
Clint.
Still doing okay? Good. Good to have it. Good to have it. Everyone who's not on YouTube, like, what the fuck is going on?
Who is this Clint guy? Why does he look like he's so one-dimensional?
Right. Yeah, well, in so many ways. And, of course, we've expanded to YouTube. More shows are going to be coming on to YouTube here shortly. Jersey Joe's going to be doing his show on YouTube just before us, which is going to be great. If you haven't subscribed, please, if you're listening to this, just go to our YouTube channel. Just search SHR Media. Subscribe, like, and share some videos, please. It would help us out. If you like any of the shows on the network, this will be a way for you to expand them. The same thing with our Spreaker feed and our webpage. Subscribe to the email at shrmedia.com. Yes, this is a big promo session, and there is a reason.
Hey, listen, it's got to be big.
We're making some changes.
Big changes.
And we're trying to make a better product for our listeners. We're trying to make a better medium for our broadcasters. We're trying to make some amazing changes. We have some great friends and partners that we can do it with, so I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to everybody that is on this network and supports us and is friends of our show and our network, because it really is the reason we show up every week.
Well, the thing is, there's such a wide and varied number of views.
Oh, yes.
All conservative, yes. Admitted, I'll be the first one to admit, where it's conservative media done right, okay? It's not leftist media done right, or done left.
Or done upside down.
Or done upside down. There are some
That's a totally different movie.
Yep. There's some great voices
the part
to
of
be
Clint
heard.
will be played by Sean this evening, apparently.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So, SHR, I mean, this is the happening place right here.
I agree. I agree that it's so happening.
Can I say this? Maybe I shouldn't.
No, you should.
Should I?
Yes,
should I say
you
this?
should.
Okay. It's free.
So all that's coming to the Sackheads Radio Show and the SHR Media Network in general. Now, the other thing you need to do is, for me, please, from Sackhead Sean to you.
Yes.
Go to Freedom Fest Facebook pages and make sure you like them, and their Twitter, and make sure you like them.
Good point.
And make sure you follow them both, because and it's right off their website, freedomfest.com. And I can't explain how much I love this. I love this event. I can't explain it.
Really looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the drive.
Yeah, I know you're not. And by the way, we will not pay mileage this year.
So, that hasn't changed from last year, has it?
Well, your contract hasn't been renegotiated since, has it? Coming up this summer, one of the other reasons why Freedom Fest is awesome is we're about to go into the summer recess for SCOTUS, for Congress. SCOTUS is going to probably not have too many more decisions before the summer comes. There'll be a lot of political slowdowns, which is good, because I think it'll give
the nation a time to breathe.
Yes,
for God's sake,
which just needs to happen so bad. It needs to happen.
The other cool thing about going to Freedom Fest is we always make contacts with new people.
And it's fun.
And when we make contacts with new people, who knows what we'll get out of it? We may get a new show out of it. We may get a new contact for who knows what. Insight into all sorts of venues, of thoughts, of opinions.
Bourbon.
And we may have more bourbon with Steve Forbes.
The only thing that's sad for me this year about it not being a Planet Hollywood is at the end of the day, we can't go have a drink in Heart Bar.
Oh, that's true.
That's the only sad part. Because they made really good Manhattans. That's the only reason why I liked going there. Really good Manhattans. But, we'll figure it out.
And the music wasn't bad.
The music was okay most of the time.
Loud.
If you say so. I couldn't hear most of the time at that
Okay.
point. I could not.
I can't hear anyway.
Could barely see. Folks, that's it for the Sackheads Radio Show for the 28th of June, 2017.
Damn! Boom, like that.
On
Done,
Spreaker
gone.
and on YouTube. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast right here. Check us out, shrmedia.com. Make sure you check out all of the new schedules that will be going up for all of our broadcasters. High Plains Pundit, our wonderful news media partner. Of course, tomorrow night, I should say, at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. The Berserk Bobcat Saloon with the Bloviating Zeppelin, bloviatingzeppelin.net.
Melanie Collette.
Melanie Collette will be joining you.
Can't wait to talk to her.
You can follow you on @BZEP, BZEP on Twitter. We will see you next week, folks.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com. And maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.